everyone, welcome to my super easy beginners playlist series. I am going to do a snow scene today. We're into February, but we still do get a little bit of snow. Some very basic drawing. So I'm just going to come down with a little bit of a slope that way, and then this slope's going to carry on down here. So you've sort of got a distant hill here, and then I want a little path. So I'm starting from that point, but I'm getting wider here, and then I'm going to come wider here. So that gives me a sense of perspective here. And that's all I'm going to pop on with the drawing. A little bit about the paper. So this is about 5 by 7 inches. It's Saunders Waterford, a cotton paper, £140 in rough. It's basically what I use most of the time. If you have a wood pulp paper, you can use wood pulp paper. You just need to work a little bit quicker. Cotton paper gives you much more time. It's a watercolourist's best kept secret. So I've got 3 brushes, round number 10, round number 6, and a rigger. I'm also using a Cotman palette. I've had this palette a while, and I just want to show you that you can create these effects without having certain colours. So I'm going to come on first of all to the sky. This is with my round number 10 to talk you through the whole process. So this is just clean water going on, and I want an even sheen, no dry bits on that sky. I don't want puddles either. You can see everything here. I'll try to do that so you know exactly what I'm doing. So I'm dipping into some cadmium yellow. So raw sienna would work, Naples yellow would work. I've only got cadmium yellow, so that's what I'm using. So I'm doing a little bit of a blend there, rinse my brush. Load it again with a bit of water. I'm just taking a little bit of that water off, and then I'm going to come into some cerulean blue. Now it's important that the yellow and the blue don't mix, so I'm going to leave a little bit of a gap in between, and I'm doing little smiles in the sky. So I'm just getting a nice effect. And I'm nearly coming up to that yellow, but not quite. I'm going to swap down to a number 6. Just checking that's clean as well. I'm going to pick up some of the alizarin crimson. I'm just going to touch it off. So I've touched it off onto the kitchen towel because I don't want too much in here. And I can sweep some of that through. So again, dab it, touch it off. This is what can come through the yellow. So I'm just blending through. So where you've got the blue and the alizarin mixing together and then going into the yellow, you'll get like a grey or a brown, and that sort of works as cloud. You get a really nice sort of sweeping effect. I'm just going to take a tiny bit more blue just so it's got a bit more power, just towards this top. So this is that cerulean blue again. You could use whichever blue you have. Remember, if you sweep it through the alizarin, you'll get a nice sort of purpley cloud effect. Okay, so what I've got here is a cotton bud. Don't know what it's called in every country, but it's what you use to clean your ears with, but it's great for lifting out clouds on a small scale. So if you want some little fluffy clouds, just with the dry cotton bud, you can just lift out a few little wispy. Just want to choose a different area of the cotton bud every time, so that it's nice and clean. And we're just going to lift out a few wispy clouds. I try to teach you new techniques every single time. Now, when you're doing this, if it disappears and you think I've just lifted that bit out and it's gone again, then it is because it is too wet and you need to come over it again or you need to wait a few seconds before you go in. So that's lifting out nicely now. Any cotton buds will do, it doesn't have to be a set brand. Just lift in a few wispy bits. I'm trying to find a clean bit now. So you can use the side, you can use a tip. They both have very slightly different effects, and I'm sort of sweeping the surface. I'm not dabbing, I'm sweeping the surface. Okay, so I'll let that just settle nicely now. I'm going to come onto the bottom section, just while that's settling, just to get a bit of a glow. Now, if you're in a hotter country, I'm in the UK, it is very cold today and very damp. And I want this to just dry a tiny bit before I come in with some soft trees. If you are in a hotter country, I would say to you, just wait and do the sky first, then do this bit after. So this is a little bit of the blue coming in. So basically what I want now is a golden glow. So I'm going to use a little bit of the blue, a little bit of blue for the shadow and the path. This is snow, it reflects the colours from the sky. Rinse my brush, dab it off. I'm going to take a tiny bit of the yellow in, but not a lot. And I'm avoiding the blue when I'm going in with that. And then a tiny bit of the alizarin. Now if it comes on and that flows too much, which that has, I'm drying my brush off and I'm just spreading that around. I want that to be purplier, that's why I've taken it in there. Okay, swap back to my number 6, and this is burnt umber. So I just want to get this working. I'm going to have birds in the sky now because I've just splattered. I'm just going to bring in a couple of very distant trees. This is still wet enough to take the paint. This is what I say, if you're in a hotter country, you'll need to do this first before you come into this bit. Okay, so I've had a disaster, and as in those splatters have come from my palette. So burnt umber isn't staining. What I'm doing with the damp brush is I'm just coming through and just taking them out. I could just put birds in the sky, they look like a little bird. If it doesn't come out, I will just put that as a bird. So you've got to have a basically dry brush to do this. Can you see how I'm just lifting out? So I'm going to create another little bit of a cloud there. But those have disappeared now. I never edit these videos because I think if it goes wrong for a reason. I'm showing you how to fix something. Where this is bled into the bottom one, that is absolutely fine. That will become a shadow anyway. I'm going to take a little bit of the burnt umber and a little bit of the ultramarine blue because I want a darker brown. And then what I'm going to do, this is with my round number 6, is just dot, and this is still wet. So this is creating fields and hedgerows in the distance. So I've waited for the sheen to slightly go off so that I can do this without it running too far. But you can just see how it's creating that soft effect. Just dot in a few places. Some bigger shrubs. a few sort of ploughed fields, like so. Okay, so I'll dry that one off. Okay, so that's nicely dry. And what I'm going to do now is come in with the cerulean blue and start to create some shadow. So this is my round number 6. I'm actually going to paint over a few of these fields, and mainly I'm trying to paint along this edge here so that I get a definition between the distant field or the distant landscape and this field here. So you can see just by coming along that edge, and those colours still show underneath and it still holds together as snow. So I'm just popping a little bit of shadow where those hedgerows, so I'm saying the light's coming this way, and then we're going to work into the pathway. So I'm going to start quite narrow. I'm going to bring little dabs through. I want this to look like it's been footprinted, so I'm doing sort of odd random dabs, leaving odd gaps. And again, it's the same colours from the sky, so we're reflecting the colour from the sky. See, that's got a really nice effect. Now, one of the tricks with snow, when you're doing it, take a bit of kitchen towel with a bit of dry, clean kitchen towel. When you dab on, if you think it's too strong, there's not many times I'll tell you can dab. But dabbing gives an undulation, so you get some lighter patches and some dark patches, and it tends to work better. So we've got that pathway in there. Then we can pop in. I'm going to have a few footprints this way. So with footprints, you're just basically getting smaller as you go away. Just getting to a point that they're a bit dotty. And then you can also have a few random bits in here that hold together quite nicely. So I've wet my brush, clean water, dabbed it off once, and then what I'm going to do is just blend underneath some of these humpy bits so that they're not all hard edges. You want a combination of hard and soft edges. Again, with that clean bit of kitchen towel, I can dab those a little bit just to fade them in. I'm going to pop some shadows just here. In a minute, it'll become apparent as to why, because I'm going to pop a couple of little people in, and that's going to be the shadow from them. We'll have some more random dabs of footprints here, and a few random dabs there. Rinse my brush out, load it with water, dab it off once. And I'm just going to come underneath these, so I'm just softening in, pushing the brush down, touching the paint, just those few bits that are more undulations in the snow rather than footprints. I'm going to pop a little bit up here just for a bit of interest, and again, damp brush, that's too wet, take a bit off. Just soften those in, that combination of hard and soft edges. I'm just going to pop a little bit more shadow down here, and that's where my people are going to go. So I'll dry that one off. Okay, so that's nicely dry now, and we're going to pop a couple of people in walking away. So I've got a mix here of burnt umber and ultramarine blue, and I'm going to put more ultramarine blue in so it makes a black. I haven't got a black in this kit, so this is the nearest I've got. So if you're a bit scared and you think, oh, this is going to be so hard, because people are actually quite easy from a distance and they're even easier from the back, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the yellow so that it's a less scary colour for you to see how to flow this in. So I'm going to start with a head, some shoulders. I'm going to taper that down to a point. I'm going to pop another person next to them, head, shoulders, and this one I'm just going to wiggle it to a point. So they're both about together. And then we just clean this brush off, and then I'm going to come in with the dark so that you can see it. So we can silhouette these. But I think sometimes with a lighter colour you could very easily dab that off if you thought, oh, I've gone wrong. So it's a good way of doing it and thinking, right, I'm going to do this. So I'm keeping with my round number 6 to prove to you that it actually doesn't need that much detail to hold together as a person. So look, they've both got a dotty bit of a head. Got a body. You can have a long coat on basically. It's snowy and so that one is what they call a term carrot. So basically it's got a top and then you taper like a carrot. It's the easiest way to do a distant person, and it's amazing what your brain will do to hold that together. This one's more robust. I could dip into different colours. So if I add a little bit of blue, a bit of a different coloured coat. There we are, 2 people, both with around number 6. What I've got to be careful of now is I need to ground them into the snow, and to do that I use a damp brush to take across, but there's 2 lots of paint in there, so it's going to flow quite a lot. So this is a clean damp brush. And I'm coming through the bottom. Take a little bit that way. Because there's quite a lot of yellow in there, I am going to just take a little bit of the grey through. It just grounds them basically. They're nicely within the scene. Okay, I'm going to dry that one off. Okay, so that's nicely dry. So I was thinking about it and whether I can put this cast shadow in without drying, but I'm better to dry. So I'm just going to bring that shadow a little bit more this way. Just bring this in. So I've got a cast shadow this way for each of them. And I'm also going to bring a bit more shadow this way. So I'm just blending that line a little bit. So this is just with the cerulean blue. Then I'm just going to take a little bit of that brown mix just in to come backwards with a bit of shadow, because you can have shadows going both ways. And that's working really nicely now. You can add a tiny bit more detail to the figures. It's quite nice to have a dark side and a light side to the figures. When they're very wet, it can be hard to define them, so I'm just going to bring in a little bit of dark down one side. And you see how I'm just touching that shoulder, and I can bring down that side of the coat, and you've sort of then got an arm. I can add a tiny bit there to create another arm. There we go. Okay, so I started to take the tape off, and then I thought, what are these people doing? They need a little dog. They need to be dog walking. So I'm going to pop in. This is with my rigger, because I need this to have thin legs and a lead. A little shape which looks like it could be a dog or sheep. And then there's a bit of a head there. And then I'm going to take a lead up there. So we've got a little dog in there as well. So I'll just continue to take the tape off for you. And it's a really nice, simple snow scene with a couple of new techniques in there. So you've got the lifting out of the clouds with the cotton buds, you've got the addition of shadow, you've got the dabbing of snow to create those techniques, and you've also got the silhouette of the people. Nice and simple. So if you've enjoyed this one, please do like, subscribe and share. I'll pop a playlist here for you and another video here, and I'll see you next time.